Shalom, all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Ba'asham Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all you sincere Kiam. And it's your brother Bawan back again with another video. And currently, you have so many things going on in Nigeria right now, so I decided to just do a quick in the news, Nigeria edition in the local news concerning all the things that are going on, all the current updates right now happening in Nigeria. You have different articles going into different things that are happening within the country. Okay, and it's all topics that have been on. It's all ongoing topics, different things that have been happening over the past few years, and they just keep on recurring and recurring and recurring because that's basically what you see happening right now on the earth, where prophecy is constantly recurring over and over again. Okay, and these are not new things or new news articles that just pop out of nowhere, but these are the things that are constantly have occurring, like I said, recurring over the years. And the first one being the mass exodus slash brain drain that you constantly hear about happening in Nigeria. Where you have all of these Nigerians, all these young people, leaving the country and going around the whole Japa scenario. We have JK in Nigeria, they're living for greener pastures in all these first world countries, right? And that's the reason why you have so many Nigerians in different parts of the world, and that's because of this. And this is the first article we have here: Nigeria's cost of living crisis sparks exodus of doctors. And the second article goes into the same thing. Even doctors still in Nigeria, still in training, plan to leave Nigeria. So basically, it's another mass exodus scenario. Okay, where you have JK Nigeria leaving the country to go to different first world countries that are, whether it's Babylon the Great, whether it's Europe, or whether it's in Canada. Okay, various countries like that, mainly Canada, because it's a big thing right now for basically what's the best word to use. Basically, it's a tunnel right now between Nigeria and Canada where you have so many different people, there's so many different people working visas, okay, all the way to Canada, whether to study, whether to work, so on and so forth, okay. And the next thing is Nigeria's bonds dumped at fastest pace in 3 months after downgrade. So I'm going to just go through some of these articles, okay, because the main articles you want to get concerning concerning the major things going on right now in Nigeria, basically the major news is a little bit lower down on the if you go on a little bit lower down. Okay, Nigeria's bonds tumble after Moody's rating downgrade. Now let's see what this one is about, because this is going into economy and finances, which is something I want to talk about as well here. Okay, Nigeria's bonds tumble after Moody's rating downgrade. Johannesburg, January 30. Nigeria's government bonds fell heavily on Monday after ratings agency Moody's downgraded the West African oil producer late on Friday from CAA1 to B3, says the government's fiscal and debt position was expected to keep deteriorating. Longer-dated bonds were down the most, with the dollar-denominated €202,051 bond falling more than 2.8 cents in the dollar to 68.758 cents, according to TradeWeb data. Only the euro bond maturing this year fell less than 1 cent. Okay, and basically the bonds or the stock of the country has fallen, and this is because of you have so many things going on in this country right now. You have a fuel shortage, right? You now have you know a basically you have a situation with the banks right now where, because of the new naira notes, right, the new fiat currency notes that have been most that I'm looking for right now. Basically, that have been that they just released to the public, and because of those notes, you now have a current supply crisis where the banks are basically more or less closed down because they do not have money to they don't have money to they don't have money in them basically. The banks do not have any money in them, so you can't withdraw any cash. You can only do transfers, and that is the main thing I wanted to talk about today, because basically what you have in Nigeria is a heavy push for digital payments, okay? A heavy push for digital transactions, for cashless payments, for a cashless solution. And that's what Esau Edom, okay, and the Nigerian government, more or less, this is just me speaking as a man, but it's most likely what they are after. They are after, what they are after is to push a more cashless economy upon the people. Okay, and the way I was doing that is by causing a supply shortage of the fiat currency that you would normally use for your purchases. Okay, but let's continue reading on. This is the next article right here. Pastor killed after being abducted from home in Nigeria. Major loss to the body of Christ, quote unquote. And you see also another part of prophecy, which are the judgments of the Most High Yahweh Shami Oshai, especially on these false pastors and these false preachers out here, which a lot of them are based here in Nigeria. You have a lot of all these false pastors here in Nigeria, and the Most High is slowly bringing judgments upon them, slowly but surely, or rather swiftly bringing judgment upon them. Slakia. The Most High is swiftly bringing judgment upon them, because you hear about rappers being killed in Babylon the Great, or here in Nigeria, the people that are being killed are pastors and clergymen. Okay, so continuing on, and more judgments going forth. Nigerian military tight-lipped after drone attack on pastoralists. Truck crashes into commuters in Nigeria's south, 20 dead. And are seeing more and more judgments go forth. The judgments of the Most High Yahweh Shami Shai, okay? A drone strike, a truck killing over and crashing and killing 20 people. Okay, continuing on. Bitcoin premium hit 60% in Nigeria as country limits ATM cash withdrawals. And now, basically another move to push and promote a cashless economy here in Nigeria, because that is ultimately the plan of Esau Edom for the whole world, to push the cashless economy, the cashless agenda in the whole world, and then eventually bring that MOTB as a solution for the cashless economy as well, because this is all going according to the plans that Esau has laid out. Problem, reaction, solution, right? The Hegelian dialectic. Problem, you can't go to the bank and get money to spend. You can't go, the ATMs aren't dispensing any actual cash. Reaction, the people will naturally panic, chaos and pandemonium in the streets, because now people can't buy as they would want to, right? And the solution, just continue purchasing using the cashless payment. You can still do transfers for the most part. The ATMs are still able to do payments, right? You have different apps and tools now for you to use to do your cashless payments. Just implement that and do more of that, and then eventually the solution becomes receive this in your right hand or in your forehead or in your left hand, and you'll be able to do as much transactions as you like with a single swipe of your hands. Okay, now now there's still more news concerning the drone strike. North Nigeria drone strike kills 21 civilians. And it's all going through the same things, okay? And also, of course, the elections that are about to come forth, which that's another video for another day. When the elections really get started, okay, which is in the month that is coming soon, right? February, which is a few days from now. I'll definitely do a video on it, going into it, because Jake out here in Nigeria, man, they are heavy in this whole election matter. You have some Jakes that are for one candidate, you have some Jakes that are for the other candidate, you have some Jakes that are for basically all the different candidates that are available to vote for. But at the end of the day, none of these people that you want to vote for can grant you the prosperity, okay, that you desire, because these are not the leaders of our people, especially if they are if they are following in the doctrine of Babylon the Great, this whole democracy bubble, this whole democracy madness, okay. And here is what I've been looking for. Nigeria launches domestic card scheme in cashless bid. Because at the end of the day, this whole video is just focused around the new cashless economy that this country is currently trying to push. Okay, so let's read this article a little bit. Nigeria's central bank on Thursday launched a domestic card scheme to rival foreign cards like MasterCard and Visa, hoping to enhance its drive to make Africa's biggest economy a cashless society and save the country foreign transaction fees. So the big push right now in Nigeria economically is to further push, okay, and promote cashless solutions to transactions and payments, which is why you had a ban or a limit on how much money you could actually withdraw per day or per week. And the same thing with transfers, because right now what they are trying to promote is cashlessness, for you to go around without the for you to go around for all the transactions to be done digitally, to make them easier to track, okay, because at the end of the day, all these digital transactions and so on and so forth, they are all being done in order to make the flow of cash, right, the transactions that you daily do, that you do daily, easier to track and easier to tax you for, okay. The announcement by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) Governor Godwin Emefiele follows the bank's decision last year to phase out old higher denomination banknotes. Emefiele told a virtual launch of the Afrigo card scheme that although penetration of card payments in Nigeria had grown over the years, many citizens remain excluded. The challenges that have limited inclusion of Nigerians include the high cost of card services as a result of foreign exchange requirements of international card schemes, and the fact that existing card products do not address local peculiarities of the Nigerian market, said Emefiele. Afrigo is owned by CBN and Nigerian banks, and Emefiele said that Nigeria was joining China, Russia, India, and Turkey in launching a domestic card scheme. International card service providers like MasterCard and Visa would not be stopped in Nigeria, he said. Rather, Afrigo is aimed at providing more options for domestic customers whilst also promoting the delivery of services in a more innovative, cost-effective and competitive manner, he said. And this is what all the roads and everything that is going on in Nigeria right now is leading to. It's leading you to a cashless society, it's leading you to a cashless economy. And I have done a video on this before where I said that a cashless economy is the MOTB, okay? That a cashless economy, a cashless society is the MOTB. It's a precursor for the MOTB. Because at the end of the day, this is what Esau wants to do. And let's get that precept. This is probably the only precept I'll bring out for this video, because at the end of the day, it should already be without what's what I'm looking for right now. Without the shadow of a doubt what is going on the earth. Revelation 13 verse 16. And it causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And how the MOTB will be introduced to the people. how the charagma will be introduced to the people is by way of transactions. Or you can use this C heap to buy and sell, to make transactions, because that's exactly what buy and sell means. You can use it to connect to your customers easily. You can use it to connect to sellers easily. And you can make payments and receive payments easily, buying and selling. And now, you can also keep track of your credits, of your CBDCs, right? Your digital currencies using this MOTB. It has a wallet function inbuilt into it. So now everything can be done as easy as a swipe of the wrist. And as I'm telling you this right now, it is something that is already being implemented on the earth, and people are already doing, which is why we know exactly how Esau Edom is going to bring this out, as it is written. We are not ignorant of the devices of this devil, okay? So using the current events going on right now in this country as an example is showing you that that Esau Edom is getting ready to push this mark on the earth, okay? And pretty soon, you know, are going to see an even heavier push for a digital cashless kingdom, okay? That this whole kingdom will be based on cash on digital transactions. All right, so let's go back to this and let's go into some of these articles that I actually skipped. And the one I actually wanted to get was some of these judgments, okay? And this one right here, I should just quickly jump into it, because now you are seeing that these wacky tacky Christians, okay, that plantation Christianity is not the answer, because what you have are these so-called pastors, so-called men of God being put to death because they are teaching and preaching our people falsehoods, lies, okay? And let's start from there. I think that is in the book of Revelation, second Revelation, Jeremiah 14. Here it is. So this is the book of Jeremiah 14, verse 14. Then Yahweh said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither speak unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision, and divination, and a thing of naught, and deceit of their hearts. Therefore thus saith Yahweh concerning the prophets that prophesy in my name, and I sent them not. Yet they say, sword and famine shall not be in the land. By sword and famine shall these prophets be consumed. So now let's read this article a little bit. A church pastor in northeast Nigeria was slain last Thursday, and anti-Christian violence continued to grow in the southern part of the country, with the killing of 2 Christians in Delta State, sources said. So the pastor that tells you peace and safety, right? Sudden destruction came upon him. And let me read from verse 16 now. Jeremiah 14, verse 16. And the people to whom they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword, and they shall have none to bury them, their wives, nor their sons, nor their daughters, for I will pour their wickedness upon them. And even the Christians that are being preached to concerning how, oh, there will be peace and prosperity. Oh, the Lord will bring, the prosperity preaching, right? The prosperity doctrine. And now you see what that leads you to when you have been blinded by these wacky-tacky Christian pastors telling you about how everything is going to be all right, when in all actuality all hell is breaking loose on the earth, and we are approaching a time that has never before been seen on the earth, as the scriptures say, a time of great trouble. Okay, let's continue reading. In northeast Nigeria, Pastor Jerry Hinjari of Christ Nation International was abducted from his home in Yola, Adamawa State around midnight on Wednesday, and his body was found on the roadside in the city the next day. The assailants were unknown, though Islamic State West Africa Province members active in the region were suspected. So yeah, you have this guy being abducted and being put to death, and his body being left in the streets, just like the scriptures said that it would. Okay, and this happens a lot. These Christians, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, but also in other parts of Nigeria as well, where you have them being put to death and being judged by the Most High. Okay, and the reason for this is because you people out there, you Christians that believe that that you are serving the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, when in all actuality what you are doing is really serving Serapis Christos, Jupiter Olympus, all the gods of Esau, Edom that they have given to you to worship. Because all Wakitaki Christianity really goes back to it goes back to Esau, Edom, the white man, okay? It goes back to the red man, it goes back to his idols. Because the true power, the God of the Bible, is the Most High Yahweh Basham Yahweh. And our people, especially here in Nigeria, are not serving the Most High Yahweh Basham Yahweh. Okay. All right. Pastor Jerry Hinjari was kidnapped on January 25th, and his remains were discovered the following day. Yahaya Nguroji, spokesman for the Adamawa State Police Command, said in a statement, "The Commissioner of Police, Sikiru Akande, has ordered an investigation to unravel those behind the dastardly act. We assure the good people of the state that the perpetrators will be brought to justice." And such violence, such death, such, or basically the sword falling upon you, okay, because of these idols they are worshiping, and because of the curses being put upon you. And the Most High is bringing heavy judgments upon our people, upon all over the world, okay. And there's even more to go into, but I'm going to have to end the video right here because so with that, I'll end the video right here. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahawashai, Bahasham Rakakwadash, Wa Abad Babal, and through the Spirit, I hope you Akim and your Akwat were edified. Shalom.